go straight from sing into ng'ombe. For example, sing ng'ombe. Mambo, habari zenu. Today's video was requested by a subscriber. We will be going over Kiswahili pronunciation. So all 5 vowels are consistently pronounced the same way, 100% of the time. And in fact, the phonetics are the same as Spanish and Italian. So we have our first vowel. In English, we say A. Swahili, it is pronounced as A. A. An example is baba. Baba. Next, we have E. In Kiswahili, we pronounce it A. A. As in say. For example, we have wewe. Wewe. Our next vowel is the letter I. In Kiswahili, we pronounce it E. E. As in bee. An example is kiti. Kiti. Our next letter is the vowel O, pronounced O. O. An example is moto. Moto. Our last vowel is the letter U. In Kiswahili, we pronounce it U. U. As in two. An example in Kiswahili is two. Two. So these vowels never deviate from these 5 sounds. They are always the same. Let's get into consonants. These are also similar to English. There's very slight nuance, but for the beginner, it suffices to say that they are roughly the same as English. The nuances include that there are aspirated and unaspirated sounds. So the three examples on the left are aspirated. So there's air coming out. The 3 examples on the right are unaspirated. So it is neutral. There should be no air coming out. However, this is a very, very slight nuance. So let's start with the aspirated P, K, and T. For example, we have pa, pa, ka, ka, tie, tie. On the right, we have unaspirated consonants of P, T, and K. Very slight difference. Beginners will most likely not be able to hear this in speech. Ba, ba, ga, ga, daifa, daifa. Next, we have the letters B, D, and G. Again, there is a very small nuance that may be difficult to hear. This author, Hinnebusch, describes it as imploded, meaning the air is not leaving the lips, but rather there is a very tiny bit of air being sucked in to the mouth. Imploded. And take note that the G in Kiswahili is always a hard G. For example, the English goat. It is never a soft G, as in jin, never. Let's look at these consonants. So if it is not imploded, there would be air coming out. It would be forced out. You will not hear native speakers speak this way. It would sound like ba ba, ba ba. But rather in Kiswahili, we say baba, baba, dada, dada. For the letter G, the hard G, for example, we have gumu, gumu, giza, giza. Next, we have the consonants F, V, S, and Z, as in English. Take note that the sound S is never pronounced as Z. We have S sound and Z sound. For example, let's start with the name. Fatuma, Fatuma. Fupi, Fupi. Kavu, Kavu. Vizuri, Vizuri. Sasa, Sasa. Next, we have the consonants M and N. When they're at the beginning of a word, it can be a bit difficult for an English speaker in the beginning. The sound is nasal. So rather than a M or N, M, N, when the M or the N is followed by another consonant, it is nasal. Mm, 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 mm. So there is no vowel inserted between these two consonants. For example, we have mtu, mtu, nta, nta, nchi, nchi, mboga, mboga, ndege, ndege, ngoma, ngoma. Occasionally, you will hear Kiswahili speakers who are deeply influenced by their first language. In many other Bantu languages, there is a vowel following the sound. For example, rather than mtu, they might say mutu. Rather than mzungu, they might say muzungu. It's good to keep your ears open for slight differences depending on the person and the region they're from. Our next sound are two consonants combined, N and Y. It is just like in Spanish, the noun mañana, ña. Or even in English, the NI in onion, ña. For example, we have ñaña, ñaña, or niñi, niñi. This next combined consonant sound comes from the top of the throat. We do not have this in English, so English speakers will have to practice this. Nga, nga. Imagine the English word sing. Hold the end of sing. Sing. Nga, nga, nga. Sing. Nga, nga. For example, we have the word ngombe, ngombe. ngombe, or ngoa, 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 or nyanganya, nyanganya, nyanganya. Do take note that the NG apostrophe is not the same as the NG above, as in ngoma, ngoma. NG apostrophe is unique. Our next combined sound is CH, ch. As in the English, cheek, not chemist. For example, we have ch, chakula, chakula, chache, chache. Next, we have the consonant J. As in the English, job. However, native speakers will often pronounce this as a DY sound. So rather than a harder ja, ja, it is pronounced as dia, dia. So rather than hujambo, it is hujambo, hujambo, dia. Rather than jana, it is diana, diana, dia. Occasionally, this ja becomes so far to the other side of the pendulum that it actually becomes a Y sound, as in ya, ya. For example, yambo, yambo, kuya, kuya. Keep your ears open. Next, we have the consonants W, Y, H. They are as in English. For example, we have watu, watu, yeye, yeye, huyu, huyu, hawa, hawa. The letter R. The Kiswahili R is different from the English R, especially American English, with that hard R. It is similar to, in Spanish, we have the tapped R's. For example, pero, pero. The tip of the tongue is tapping the roof of the mouth. It is not rounding and It is just simply da-da-da-da-da-da tapping. So for example, rather than habari, we have habari, habari. Rojo, rojo. Heri, heri. This may also take some practice. The letter L. It is similar to English, especially when it is in the initial position. For example, the word leak, leak. But keep in mind, Swahili speakers often do not distinguish between the letter L and the letter R, whether it be in pronunciation or writing text messages. For example, we have lala, lala, leo, leo. But you may even find people pronouncing habali with an L instead of an R. Next, we have the letters T, H, th, th. Some East Africans pronounce this as S. So rather than th, like thin and think, it would be s, like sin and sink. But proper Swahili, proper coastal Swahili, it would be pronounced, for example, thelathini, thelathini, theluji, theluji, themanini, themanini. But don't be surprised if you hear selasini, saluji, semanini. Keep your ears open. Next, we have the DH combination. It is like the TH that is voiced in English. For example, thy, though, then. So it is a voiced sound. Dhambi, dhambi, dhani, dhani. Some Swahili speakers pronounce this DH, which is a sound, a phonetic attribute of the language, borrowed from Arabic. So inland, many times, people will pronounce the DH with a Z sound because Z sounds are in other Bantu languages. The sounds are not. So for example, instead of dhambi, you might hear zambi. Instead of dhani, you might hear zani. Next, we have the GH combination. Many speakers pronounce this as just a simple hard G, ga. But it is another sound borrowed from Arabic. Those who do not speak Arabic will probably just pronounce it as a hard G. But it should be like a soft G, almost as if you were gargling water in your throat. For example, we have khala, khala, khali, khali, or simply gala, gali. Next, we have the letters SH, as in the final sound in the English word push. For example, we have ishirini, ishirini, mshahara, mshahara. The combination of MW. This is the nasal sound that we discussed above, but it is immediately followed by a W. You produce it by slightly rounding the lips inward before pronouncing M and then gliding in to W. For example, we have Mwalimu, Mwalimu, Mwanafunzi, Mwanafunzi. The combination of B and W, similar to MW above, the lips are rounded before starting B, then you glide into the W. Bua, buana, buana, mbwa, mbwa. Just like the vowels are always the same in the beginning, as we discussed, stress. The stress in Kiswahili always falls on the second to last syllable. There are very few exceptions to this rule. So you automatically know where to put the stress. For example, we have habari, habari. If there are only two syllables, then the stress is on the first syllable because it is still the second to last syllable. We have gani, gani. Another example, msingi, msingi. We also have naomba, naomba. Unataka, unataka. tunatoka, tunatoka. Let's do a review of some of the combined consonant sounds. The first 5, we do find them in English. CH, ch, as in chocolate. For example, chafu. NJ, as in enjoy. For example, nja, nja. SH, like shore. For example, shule, shule. TH, as in thing. It's unvoiced. For example, thamani, thamani. We also have VY, as in the English word view. For example, vyumba, vyumba. The next category gets slightly more difficult when compared to English. Let's review. BW, as in subway. For example, buana, buana. KW, as in backward. For example, kweli, kweli. MW, like teamwork. Mwalimu, mwalimu. NG, as in sun glory. Nguo, nguo. NY, as in lanyard. For example, nyumba, nyumba. PW, as in upward, like pwani, pwani. Here's a few more special examples in category 3. These are the most difficult for English speakers. First, we have combined consonants. For example, let's take 2 A's. So this is drawn out a little bit, and there's even a difference. There's a slight guttural sound differentiating between each A. So it's not just ah, it's ah, ah. For example, we have the word after, which is baadaya, baadaya. Can you hear that? Baadaya, baadaya. When we have 2 vowels at the end of a word, for example, let's take the word uko, meaning clan, or even mzee, an elder, usually an elder man. So there is not a guttural sound differentiating between the 2 O's and the 2 E's, but it's drawn out. So instead of uko, no, it is uko, uko. Okay. Another example, mzee, mzee. Okay. As we discussed above, let's review the DH sound. It is like the voiced TH in English, like that, not like thing, which is unvoiced. The. For example, feather, feather. But don't be surprised if you hear feather, feather. Again, the GH, let's review. We have gali, gali, or gali, gali. This KH sound also comes from Arabic. For those who do not speak Arabic, it will be difficult. And even native speakers usually just pronounce it as a K, a hard K. But it would be something like khanga, khanga. but most speakers just pronounce it as kanga, kanga. Last but not least, let's review ng apostrophe. There is nothing going on up here with the tongue. It's right here, nga, nga. So let's say the word sing and draw out the sing. Go straight from sing into ngombe. For example, sing ngombe. Sing ngombe. Happens right here. Nga, nga, ngombe. As you can see, Kiswahili pronunciation is not complicated. Now we are going to go into a specific question that was posed by the same subscriber concerning when there are other vowels that are together. Let's have a look. Okay, so diphthongs are uncommon in Kiswahili, practically non-existent. Diphthongs are when two vowels are paired together and they are pronounced as if they were one sound. So for example, we have English, loud, paid, coin. You know, we have two vowels and they're pronounced with the same sound. In Kiswahili, we pronounce each vowel. The untrained ear may not be able to hear this. That's okay. So for example, let's take the sentence, ameianza. Ameianza. So I am making a difference between this A and E sound. Ameianza. When a Swahili speaker is speaking fast at their normal speed, you may not be able to hear this. It will be difficult to detect, but it's there. We pronounce each vowel. Here's another example. Bainaya. Bainaya. Bainaya moshi na arusha. Bainaya moshi na arusha. Here's another one that can be difficult. Chuo. The uo are different. It's not a diphthong. For example, chuo kiku. Chuo kiku. Here's another common example. Nguo. Nguo. Even in Kiswahili words like au, bei, or sauti, when we speak at our normal speed, you may not be able to hear each individual vowel, but trust me, it's there. We say au, bei, sauti. Okay. I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. If you have ideas for a video, something you would like to understand better, something you would like me to explain. If you learned something, please like the video and leave a comment. Asante sana. Kwaheri.